Welcome to the Copy Talk podcast. Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer member, FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Financial planning services through Lighthouse Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Shannon Ross is CEO and managing partner of Lighthouse Financial. Lighthouse and Cambridge are not affiliated. And now, here's your host, Shannon Ross.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another snowy edition of Copy Talk. Every Wednesday night, going into Thursday morning, we have to risk life and limb to get to the studio for the.
I'm over it.
I'm over it. But we're happy to be here. This show is recording a week before St. Patty's. It airs a week after St. Patty's Day, but it is St. Patty's Day today in our studio. And it is
more importantly,
producer Ryan's birthday today.
Happy birthday, Ryan.
He's 21 all over again.
Thank you. Actually, 23.
23.
Oh, we're going
nice.
with 23.
I like it.
That's what we're going with.
That's
all
what
right,
we're
I
going
like
with.
it.
I
I like it.
So happy birthday.
Yay.
I'm so
Thank you.
excited for making you work today. So sorry, but so grateful that you're
He's like,
here.
yeah, I was hoping you were going to call
He's
in
amazing.
about the snow on the ground. There's only 5 inches outside.
I
I'm just
know.
kidding. I had 5
know.
inches at my house, but the roads were fine.
Yeah, we got here. It was totally
highway
fine.
was fine.
I'm very thankful. So
Side roads are
we're
sketch,
good.
but yeah, we made it.
So we're continuing Women's History Month. We had a great kickoff to that last week.
Celebrating the ladies.
Yes, you brought it. I was listening again today. You brought it, Professor April.
I did.
You were
I
all,
really did.
historical and giving us lessons, life lessons.
I know.
and
I was
lessons about
and it's stuff
historical
that you're
women.
all going to remember. Yes? Everybody's going to remember?
I remember one of the women
Tell
we
me.
talked about.
Give me one
Not
factoid.
because that's the one I said that I knew.
What's International Women's Day, Shannon?
What date? March 8th.
There you go.
All right.
Well done.
See, I did listen.
I hope that's right. That's what I remember.
We can go back. I think
If
it is.
it's not, we just made it one. Yeah,
Totally.
no, I'm just kidding.
Well, good. Well,
Yep.
How's your week?
It's good.
Are you not sure about that?
This week is long. Is anybody else having a
Oh, I
long
feel like
week?
it's real
I feel
long.
like we should already be at Friday by now.
Yeah.
Maybe spring break is next week. So excited.
Yes.
Can't wait to get out of town.
That's right.
But it's been, but I mean, the week hasn't been bad. I got to hang out with you last night.
I know.
We got to have,
I know.
right
I've
before
had
we leave,
a
we
kind
have,
of bad week, but
You have.
it's turning around. My little 14-year-old son got really injured on Sunday night at his baseball game.
Yeah, he
Broke
did.
his elbow. Had to have surgery 2 days ago. Put a screw in his arm. It's been
Poor
a little
baby.
hellacious in my
Yeah.
house, but
He's a stud, though.
he's on the mend. He was super
Wow.
chill. I mean, this is our first real surgery in our family for one of our kiddos, and he did great. He wasn't scared. He was calm. Him coming out of anesthesia was hilarious because he was so loopy. He kept singing different rap songs.
Were these rap songs, did they have any expletives in them? Because
No,
that
they
would be
didn't.
even
But what's
funnier.
funny is I asked the doctor because he kept singing "Sabotage" by the Beastie Boys.
Oh.
I was like, "Was that on in the OR?" And
Yeah.
it was, which is funny.
Okay,
So that's why
that's-
he was singing that one.
That's wild.
I know. So, but
Because he
it
was
pretty
asleep
funny. I know.
in the OR.
I only took a small video
funny.
of it to show him, and I'm not allowed to show it to anyone else because it's all over the map.
I'm going to beg him to see it.
But he's on the mend.
Good for him.
We have about 12 weeks.
He looked great yesterday when I saw him. He did.
So you brought him biscuits and jelly. He loves April's biscuits.
Every time he stays at my house, I make him biscuits and I don't
Yeah.
make the jelly, but you know, I'm making biscuits and jelly, and he loves them.
That's
so that's what he
right.
got.
So that's what he got. And all of his baseball little buddies have been dropping stuff off. So he's
Yeah.
appreciating the love.
Yeah.
So
He's tough.
he is
He's
a tough kiddo. Tough kiddo. So last week, we started with just kind of an overview of the origination of Women's History Month. You gave us a history lesson.
Yep.
And then we also talked about some financial topics and challenges and life challenges that women often face. And so today we're going to continue that, but we're going to take a little bit. We ended the show last week. Go and tune in if you haven't listened or watched yet. But today we're going to begin talking through some of the top 5 topics women are searching on the internet. So because they're the top 5, one would believe that these are the 5 topics that are most important to you all out there. So we're going to tackle a couple. Some will be fun. Some will be a little, everyone has a to-do list. And the number one searched topic is health.
Health.
And so that's where
That's
we're going
not
to kick it out today, which is interesting because literally we always take our own advice on this show. And so this week was actually my appointment. Well, I do. I try to. You do too. Well, you're like 90% compliant.
Oh, I'm more than 90. It's this part that I'm like, I've just been slow on this one. Yes, but we do take our own advice. You're right.
I know. So actually this week I had my first like real in-depth checkup with like a whole blood panel and everything. So I was a little nervous going into it just because I'd never done it before. And you always, every one of us has little things that play out in our head of, oh, maybe I have this or I have this or I have this, whatever. And
some of us a little more grandiose than others.
Sure. So I was happy to go, and I finally got it done, and now I'm in like a program and everything.
Well, you're healthy as a horse.
And thankfully
you're super healthy.
So I totally like celebrated by eating like crap this week. I'm like, hey,
I'm doing great.
I'm great. I don't eat too much. I don't drink too much. I'm going to celebrate. So I think my blood test was not this week, but
this would not have been the week to do it.
I have to say though, it is peace of mind to know.
Yes.
Because I think the anticipation of what could be is actually worse. Even not all my counts were awesome. There's a couple opportunities that I have. But to at least know what's real and what's not.
Sure.
Because we often paint such a more bleak picture in our heads.
Well, especially if you've been through health crisis before.
Absolutely.
Then you all, which means you should probably be more diligent about those visits. I'm going to do my husband is on because we all go to the same provider. So shocking we all go to the same doctor. And so I'm the last of the four who I just haven't gotten my blood panel drawn. And having my blood taken does not bother me at all. Dave's like, it's not bad. It's just, I'm like, I've been poked so many times. I don't care about needles. It does not scare me.
For you, it's the anticipation of results.
To me, it's the anticipation of the results.
Because we've talked on the show before. You have survived some gnarly things. And so to have, I think ignorance is bliss is maybe
I'm
one
like,
of
I
your
feel
mottos.
good, right? All the organs seem to be working. And I certainly don't want to find out that I can't eat queso anymore. That would be devastating.
That was on my. She's like, because my healthy HDL cholesterol, whatever, is not good. And she's like, do you eat a lot of anything that's like, solid at room temperature, or, like chips and stuff? I was like, I'm like, oh, like chips and queso? I'm like, yeah. So I'm on a restriction on the chips and queso diet.
See, that's why I don't want to go.
So
I'm going to go.
That was my one opportunity.
I just don't want to do it this month.
And what's also funny that I found out, and I've been looking because now it's like actually like a national thing. So you know how salt has gotten all fancy. So we all have like Himalayan salt and sea salt and all this kind of stuff. Well, apparently so many of us are iodine now deficient. Because if you even look, any kind of like fancier salt has no iodine in it, and that's one of our main sources.
Like the ones that you
so she's like, you need to buy some cheap table salt and start using that instead, because my iodine is super low.
You and David got that same result. Did Justin get that result?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I know, because we have this theory, like, does everybody have the same result? Panel? Do they really want to just sell the same supplements to everybody? Which is important.
But they don't even sell supplements, actually. And they're actually very anti.
They are
extreme supplements.
They are. And so bringing it back to women, why this matters so much is because there's certain conditions that attack women more so than others. But one thing that's common across the board, no matter what kind of disease we're going to talk about in a second, is that oftentimes women go underdiagnosed and they skip out on preventative measures.
Right.
So it's not so much that these specific health-related issues plague women. It's more of the premature plaguing because they're not being active. And we talked about last show, the reason maybe why women are not being as proactive is the busyness. Is life takes over. As you have a meeting, you have to pick up your kids. You have, there's all these other things that we put in front of the discipline to stay on our schedule, kind of checkup schedule. And so that just tackling that or being mindful of that is really half the battle here with doing this research.
Well, because a lot of these are preventative in a lot of ways.
Well, and they give you symptoms long before, like a catastrophic kind of event.
Right.
And so, So let's go over some of these because I thought they were interesting, and it's good to know for all of us.
Yeah.
Is, obviously both for men and women, the leading cause of death is heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
And so heart disease is one of those kind of silent killers, but preventative if you have these kind of blood panels run, if you have these kind of checkups that are more in depth starting in your 40s. I do believe you are more prone to have really healthy hearts for a long time because they show you signs quite early in the process.
Well, and to your point, although more men die of heart disease, females tend to be underdiagnosed.
That's right.
Which you said that earlier.
Obviously everyone kind of knows the symptom of chest pain, but oftentimes when it's chest pain, you're on your way to some
That's a critical care point.
That's right. That's right. But there are some kind of, it can start a little bit, with shortness of breath or jaw pain or shoulder ache or nausea, and shortness of breath. But, just to be on the lookout because it is so prevalent out there, and that's probably the focus of most. If you go to any kind of jaw pain, kind of surprised me. So don't be like, oh no, my jaw hurts.
I know. See,
this is bad for her because this will plant
power
seeds.
Of suggestion. So. I'm kind of like my husband. I'm not a hypochondriac, but then if you start talking about stuff like this, I'm like, well.
Like, my shoulder kind of hurts.
I know. I mean, I also need a new mattress, but suddenly my shoulder.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and the risk factors, obviously, as we increase in age, our risk factors go up. Heredity has a lot to do with smoking, high blood cholesterol, high blood pressure, physical inactivity, obesity, being overweight, and having diabetes.
Yep.
Those are more of the leading factors. So just be more preventative with the right appointments, with the right, because again, especially in this day and age, I feel like there's so many more supplements, natural substances that you can take to help these kind of things.
Absolutely.
Like one thing I had to start this week was fish oil, which is better than taking something that makes you flush.
Even David are so alike. It's just kind of weird. Well, and so many of these, the risk factors, you can correct these.
Yes.
It's not easy to stop smoking, but you can stop smoking.
Right.
You can't reverse the effects of it, but it's better late than never. You can become more physically active.
That's
you can reduce, you can lose weight. You can take blood pressure medication if you need to. All of these are preventable or things that you can fix.
And diet and exercise are so huge, I mean,
well, that was one of the things in here. A well-balanced diet and exercise can help prevent so many of these.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not about, like, I look at well-balanced. So I can eat queso once a week, but maybe not 3 times a week.
Well, as long as it's balanced. To balance out your queso with some fruit.
I know.
That week.
Or avocados.
Or something.
I guess are on my list now.
Yeah.
All these other things.
Avocados are delicious.
They are. I love them.
Avocados.
I know. I'm glad I like them. So that's the leader. So that's the number one. Number 2 is breast cancer, which is the most common cancer in women, second to lung cancer.
That surprised me. I didn't know lung cancer was ahead of breast. I would have thought breast cancer was the number one.
Yeah. So, well, it's the most common.
Common, I should say.
Yeah, most common is breast cancer. And again, with, now that we're in our 40s, I think what was also helpful to me to get a full checkup was to understand now how often I should get screened for different things. Because and especially for those women out there who are hearing me in their 70s, certain things change, but certain things don't. And I've actually had some experience recently with some family members to think like, oh, because they don't have to get this kind of checkup anymore, they failed to go to their mammogram. And it's not one and the same. Okay. So at a certain stage, you don't have to get your annual pap smear, those kind of things, but you still have to get your mammograms.
When do you not have? When do you stop getting a pap smear?
I don't know the exact. It's in your 70s, I know, but in your 70s, apparently they don't make you do it anymore. And so that's why I think a lot of women feel like they don't have to check any lady parts anymore, but that is not the case. So
the lady part remains.
Lady parts are important to,
Or is your OB-GYN just like at this point? Just keep checking your upper, but don't worry about your lower.
Right. I don't know why, but and with men as well,
Ryan loves this conversation.
Having parts checked and making sure like every 5 years you're getting all the things scanned,
all the
like
things,
your colon and your whatever. And
I wish they had something like they do. Have you ever had a full body bone scan before?
No.
Okay, so you lay on the table and it's extremely slow. I don't know if they've sped it up but when I had to go through during my cancer stuff, I mean it's this thing that's like right here, okay, and I mean it moves. I mean, you can't even tell it's moving. Okay, that's how slow it is. And it goes all the way down your front, and then it flips under the table and goes all the way down your back.
Oh,
okay, it's extremely long. But at the same, so it's checking so if you've had bone cancer, they're checking out your bones. They need that for your organs. Like it might take a long time, but wouldn't it be great if you just laid on one table and one camera, and then it checks all the things and then just lay it on me when it's over and let me know what.
I'd say yes.
Surely this is invented by now. If not, I think we found our moneymaker.
I know.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyways, keep going. Sorry.
Okay, so get your checkups. If you have family history of breast cancer, you should start getting a mammogram starting at age 40. If not, you can start at age 45, but it's very, very important to get it.
So 45 if you don't have a history.
Don't have a history.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right, I got a few years.
And so another one is osteoporosis. So, which affects 44 million Americans.
That's a lot.
68% are women. So again, we're highlighting now those that are conditions out there that we all need to be mindful of as women. So, increase your calcium.
Well, this was interesting to me. Bodies build up bone mass until 30. I didn't know that. And then after that,
it's just downhill.
Downhill from there. But
man,
I just didn't. So I love it. Says then the bone stops forming and the focus is to maintain old bone.
Maintain your old bones. That muscle mass, you can build muscle pretty well up until your mid 40s, and then that starts to go down the pooper too. So it's just like it's not a good news show today, people, but it's just real. Enjoy your youth, people. But no, this is just good to get your screenings, get your stuff situated.
Well, osteoporosis that doesn't.
Just saying, we should lay it down. So like by our next, maybe in 2 shows from now or 3 shows from now, we should set a date of like when you should get your blood stuff done.
Am I supposed to bring it to the show? The panel?
No.
I'll tell everybody in Coffee Talk World.
Details.
I got my panel done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I bet.
We'll keep you honest.
I'm gonna. It's on the radar.
Yes, it's closed. It's closing in on you.
Well, my goal is to get the panel done before the end of the month and then get my results in the month of April because I feel like that is better because my name is April. I don't know. Maybe I have.
Well, you have to get it after we're not allowing you to get any kind of things done before our girls' trip coming up.
That's my
point.
point.
Be heady or
I don't want to be
or have bad news. So we're just totally being ostrich and put our
just being honest
just for a couple weeks. What's a couple weeks?
That's why I said get me past March and then I'll do all the things. I gotta get a cavity filled. I gotta get my panel done. All the things. Okay, so osteoporosis though I think it is important. So obviously for female, but also small, thin bone frame. Ethnicity, white and Asian women tend to have it more. Family history, obviously. Infrequent menstrual cycles and estrogen loss due to menopause. I guess that doesn't surprise me. Anorexia and a diet low in calcium and vitamin D. I can't talk
vitamin
today.
D.
Vitamin D, which I'm bad at that. I probably need more vitamin D.
Well, and apparently you also, I found this out recently as well. So you not only just need calcium and vitamin D, but it has to have like vitamin K as a part of your vitamin D to be able to push the calcium into your bones.
Right.
So apparently I have high calcium, but they're not in my bones. So I have to find better vitamin D with K in it. I was like, well, good to know. So good to know, everybody. You can save yourself the $100 get a better vitamin D with some K in it.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, so last 2 before heading on to the next topics. This isn't a shocker, but depression is one of those conditions that affect twice as many women as men, which I was actually surprised it was that doubled in terms of, and the risk factors. His history with depressive episodes, family history of depression, history of heart problems, which I thought was interesting, serious chronic illness, marital problems, substance abuse, and a long list of different things that can be going on historically that you are dealing with. Yeah. So, and the last one being autoimmune diseases. So, for instance, like lupus or multiple sclerosis or type 1 diabetes, 75% higher in women.
Yeah.
Which
that surprised me. Sure why autoimmune disorders? Why? What? And
it didn't go into the why.
Well, and because autoimmune diseases are somewhat of a mystery.
Yes.
They can be genetic, but even the environmental factors can play a role into autoimmune diseases, which I did not know that. So, 75% occur in women. 75%. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I was surprised by that.
So again, the message of health is it's great that you're searching the internet out there, but to get discipline in terms of putting yourself on the list of your priorities to get yourself into screenings is super, super, super important. Yeah. So before we close out today's show, we're going to tackle
here we go.
2 more topics that I think relate to each other. This is why I put them together. So it's parenting and leadership. And I think parenting and leadership are one and the same, because you're either parenting some people that work for you, that you're leading, or vice versa with kids. I think actually the principles are pretty similar in my mind. Yeah. But you had a fun parenting.
So first of all, I don't love, and this is not against, I'm not one, and I know some people love to read the blogs, love to read the books. Okay, those other people, not me. I have not, I like more watch friends' advice. Like I just am not one to run out there. We talked about this briefly last time. But I do know when I have an epic fail, and that was this morning. My son, God bless his soul, it's just, he's a teenager, right? And I don't use that as an excuse all the time, but it was 2-hour delay, and my husband goes to the gym in the morning, and and you know Dave. He's like, when I get there at this time, he better be the backpack on, ready to go, right? Because I usually take him to school, but not today. And Eden comes to, it's 9:22. He needs to be ready by 9:30. I hear him come out of the bath. He's got a robe on, and he's just come out of the bathroom. He's going to kill me. He won't listen to this.
He's got 8 minutes.
Unfortunately, he's like, I'm sorry, Mom. I needed. I'm like, I got you up an hour and 15 minutes ago, and all you've done is take a shower and go to the potty? Like, what is going, your dad? Yes. And so it turns and he starts digging through the dryer. My clothes are still wet. Now it's 9:26. I'm like, put on some clothes. So my voice just got more elevated because I'm like, you're digging through wet clothes, and all he can do is look at the clothes and go, I don't understand why they're not dry. They're not dry because they're still wet. Like, I don't understand why this is tricky for you. Right. Move on. Go find more clothes. I buy you a ton of clothes, and I see the same outfits every week. Drives me crazy. So then that also sparked that. I run upstairs and I am pulling out just clothes, and I'm like, put them on. And it just turned, I don't want to wear that. There's rips in it. I'm like, I don't care. That's how I bought them. You loved them 3 weeks ago. Sure. So that was one of those. And he's just like, I don't know why you're yelling. And it was a complete. And then, of course, he was late, and David's in the truck, and I'm just whatever. And I'm trying to get ready for this. And it was just
it was chaos.
It was a hot mess. And so, then he leaves. I'm like, I love you.
Have a good day, sweetie.
He leaves. But then I pick up the phone, and I'm like, I'm taking $100 out of your wallet if you're never going to wear those jeans. Like, that's what I do. Like,
I know. I love Eden's clothes because they then come to my house and they get 3 more rounds of use. It's like when we get an Eden Todd bag of clothes, it's like draft day. My kids go into a room, they literally sit in a circle, and each one takes turns of taking items.
Well, and most of them are new because they still have tags because he doesn't wear. Yeah. Although he loves them when I buy them. Makes me so mad. So so that was, I had a little bit of a parenting faux pas this morning.
It's all
I don't like to yell. I'm not a yeller by nature. And so when I do yell.
I'm kind of a yeller by nature. I mean, I've gotten better over the years, but.
You are not a yeller.
Sometimes we used to live on acreage, not have neighbors very close by, and now we live in a neighborhood, and sometimes I'm just calling down to my boys to get up for breakfast, nothing crazy, and I'm like, oh, that's loud. Like,
oh, God, that would never even cross my mind.
Hear that couple streets down.
But parenting is not one of those. I mean, none of us are perfect. Yeah. But it's not something I research a lot. And does that make me a bad parent?
Well, and so there's a great list. So if you're out there, Google on the New York Times, they recommend the 25 top parenting books. And I went through the list. I've read none of them.
I've never even heard of some of these, or none of them, to be honest.
I read some of the summaries, and I'm like, who wants to learn that? Well, and some of these are like very militant. Of like, I don't want to.
Every child is so different. My kids. And not that I don't. These, I'm sure, so much credit to these. I'm not downplaying parenting books at all. So if you're out there listening and you love the blogs and the books, I'm sure you're a much better parent than me. There's no doubt. It's not. I'm serious. Well, like, it's not something that I. It's just not something I.
Well, what do you think? I know what I would say that you do great as a parent, but what would you say you do great as a parent that makes you a good parent? Because you are a good parent, and I think it's.
Thank you.
And I think it's a really good thing. You want me to say it? That I see you do? Because you're going to always do the deer in the headlights when I ask you the question.
I know. Well, I don't know what I do well parenting.
I think you do a great job, like taking time to really listen to how your kid's feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're always so intentional of just sitting down, not rushing through.
Yeah.
And just, well, what's this doing to you? Like, let's talk through it. Like, you're so great at talking through it.
Oh, okay. Except for at 4 minutes till he's about to walk out the door and I need him to put some clothes on.
Where, I think I look at that and it inspires me because I'm more of a fixer. I'm more of a, let's move on. Let's stay optimistic. Let's just push through, and that's not oftentimes what kids need. They need to feel in the moment.
Well, they need both.
They
need both, actually.
Yeah.
They need both.
But I think that's something that I see you do a lot.
Well,
I go to more like practical things like, I'm all about efficiency and quickness. So like I don't get into the feelings part a lot. I'm more what I have to say is my kids do appreciate I'm usually pretty calm.
I was just about to say what I notice you do well
so,
that I pay attention to. So this is more from a parenting perspective. Yeah. I pay attention to what other parents do and what works and what you always do. I'm just knocking stuff off. What you always do is you are calm. Like they'll do something and it's like, say something sassy or whatever, which your kids hardly do that ever. And you're just like, wow. Because me, my response would be, I may be a little bit sassy back, which doesn't produce any good either. But you're so great at staying super calm and just, it amazes me.
It takes a lot for me to bubble up.
It does. That's what I'm saying. You're not a yeller.
Well, I'm more of a yeller of like, let's go or get up for breakfast.
Oh, that's not yelling.
More
you didn't see me this
morning.
morning.
It's not yelling as like, but.
I was yelling this morning.
I know. It
happens.
It happens. But I do think, and still for leadership, like I feel like where it comes to one and the same is if your kids realize that you have their back, if they realize that you want what's best for them, they're going to eventually, maybe not first hot minute, but they're going to eventually want to do what you need or want to do what you want them to do. And that's in leadership as well. If people know that you have their back, that you have their best interest at heart, really and truly, and it takes different people longer to believe that about you. But once they do, I have found that people will walk through fire for you. It becomes more of a family kind of environment.
Well, they trust you.
Yes, because they know that you're not trying to use them.
You're not.
They're not. Same with kids too. I mean, how many parents have you seen out there that got a little too involved in their kids' sport or their identity is a little bit too much in their kids' performance or progress? Right. Kids pick up on that. Yeah. And it impacts the relationship. And so I think as we can support our kiddos in becoming what they are destined to become, it's just, taking those moments, taking that intentional time, not rushing through. And for me, that's one of my main things is not rushing through. And so, that's, I'm sure, in one of these 25 books. But
well, and I think even leadership and parenting, two things that also cross, if you will, are I think it's so important to validate. Like to validate how, like if my son says, I'm feeling this way, instead of going, that's ridiculous. Now, on my inside brain, I might be like, gosh, you're so dramatic at 15, but I would never say that out loud. But he is feeling that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the validating of, okay, I hear that you feel this way. Why do you think you feel this way?
That's
and
right.
how do we come up out of that feel as far as if it's a negative emotion?
That's right.
What do we need to do to get to a better place? And I think it's the same if you're leading a group of people. I think it's important to validate where someone is at versus being someone that's like, that's ridiculous. Just go get your job done. That's ridiculous. Go do what I told you to do. Yes, there needs to be execution. At the end of the day, I expect, just like with my son, I told you to do this, you need to do it. Sure. I'll validate if you felt this way and we can talk through it. At the end of the day, I still need you to do what I told you to do. Right. That doesn't change. Yeah. The end goal is still there. So I think that also kind of
I agree.
Crosses both, if you will, if you're leading or if you're
And
parenting.
I think our kids can help us press us through our limits of comfort, even in funny areas. My daughter and I are so different. And I actually wore this on her behalf. She got this for me for my birthday.
Aww.
And I've worn it like twice, and this is the second time. But she's like, Mom, this is cool, Lisa. I'm like, I don't know if it's my style or I don't look cool in it, but I wanted to support her today and wear it so she could say, hey, I got
you
that
look
for
cool.
Her. That was one of her thrifting sprees as a birthday present. So I thought it was cute, but like she helps me always get past, my tendencies because we are so different and she sees things so different, but yet I want to have a good relationship with her. So it's hard because it doesn't come natural to me to really see where she's coming from. I have to work at it, but it really helps me become more of, just more diversified, I think.
Yeah.
Since we tend to stay kind of in our comfort zone sometimes. So,
and I think for me, having a child, number one is parenting is the most challenging thing. But my son makes me a better person because even though if he doesn't know it, there are things that he exposes in me, like the things about me that I'm like, oh, I don't think I ever noticed that before. I need to do a better job at this. And he's only 15. He doesn't even realize that one thing he said in that moment, I was like, oh,
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he makes me a better person, and it is the best. There's nothing better to me. I mean, I love being a wife. I love my husband. But there is nothing better to me than being a mom.
Yeah.
Like there's just single-handedly nothing better than being a mother.
Well, good. Well, we're going to end today's show, but tune in next week because this show is going to be fun and funny.
And we are going to be
talking about the last two topics that are important to women, which are relationships and love.
Yay!
And we're going to tackle some fun things.
Yes.
So join us. And before you go today, again, thank you for subscribing to YouTube. Our subscriber base continues to grow, so please continue to pass it to your friends.
Yes.
Where else can people find us?
So copytalkpodcast.com, our website. We have Instagram, Copytalk Podcast, # Ryan, birthday boy.
What are you searching for?
Ooh, what are you searching
that's
for?
Good.
That's
okay,
really
I like
good.
it. And then our YouTube.
It's the best.
That's the best. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Share. Again, I think we're a whole lot more fun to watch than just listen to. But that's just because I think we make funny faces and sometimes we throw things and hit that whatever. But yeah, it's
all right.
Tune in next week.
Tune in next week. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Financial planning services through Lighthouse Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor. Shannon Ross is CEO and managing partner of Lighthouse Financial. Lighthouse and Cambridge are not affiliated.